It's fake news, a hoax, just a lie perpetuated by losers. That's what President Trump said all year long when it came to questions about Russian interference in the U.S. election and whether any members of his campaign had a hand in it. But guess what? Politifact says that's the lie of the year. Yes, the claim that Trump has made over and over again, that Russian interference is a made-up story. Politifact says that was the biggest whopper of them all. Joining me now from Washington to discuss this is the editor of Politifact, Angie Holan. Angie, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
You had so many options to choose from this year, so why this one on the top of your list of shame?
Well, it was repeated over and over again by President Donald Trump. He would say it as a defense of charges against collusion, which I should emphasize, we're not saying there was collusion. That's unproven. What we're saying is this Russian interference definitely happened. And President Trump has said several times that it hasn't. Well, it has. And it really goes to the heart of American democracy and our elections and how we decide who to pick to be our leaders in Congress and in the White House.
And his repetition, repeating it over and over again, calling it a hoax, does have an impact. I want to talk to you about that in a minute. But first, the runners-up, right? There were a couple of runners-up we can put on screen. In second place here, Republican Congressman Raul Labrador saying, quote, "Nobody dies because they don't have access to health care." Tell me about this one.
This is one that we were just very dubious about. I mean, there have been studies about whether people have great health care outcomes on different types of insurance, especially Medicaid. But the idea that nobody dies because they don't have access to health care, that's just wrong. And we talked to numerous health care researchers who were just like, yeah, no.
Angie, you went on a trip several different states this year talking with voters about how they perceive fact checks. Where were you? Tulsa, Mobile? What did you learn on these trips?
Well, we wanted to talk to voters who voted for Donald Trump and might be open to learning more about fact-checking, because we've seen survey data that says Trump voters are very suspicious of the media generally, and they're also suspicious of fact-checking. So we thought if we met them and listened to their concerns, we might learn better ways to do our job. They could hear about how we do our jobs and maybe be more open-minded to our reports. And the interactions were very positive. It's like when we get out from behind our computers and sit down face-to-face with people and have a conversation, it works really well. We just have to figure out how to scale that up.
So many people were receptive. At the same time, I don't mean to be a pessimist here on Christmas Eve, but I sometimes wonder if there is a portion of the country that is unreachable by fact checkers. That there's a portion of the country that does not want to hear any of the real news that's negative about the Trump administration. Has that been your experience as well? Has that been your finding?
I think there is a portion of partisans who do not want to listen to independent journalism. They see their political identification as part of who they are. And so, no, they're not open. And I don't think fact checkers are going to reach those people. But our reports might reach their friends, their family, people who could influence them. And what we're hoping to do as fact checkers is just get accurate, credible, vetted information into the hands of voters so they can make better decisions about who they want to support and how they want to see the country governed.
People spreading misinformation or ignoring fact checks, it's not exclusive to one side either. Your site reminded me about that video of Trump greeting a disabled boy at the White House. There were these claims that Trump had snubbed the boy, ignored the boy because he had a disability. I remember J.K. Rowling shared that video with millions of followers, and lots of liberals shared it and thought it was real. You all had to publish a fact check about that one as well.
Yes, we fact-checked that and rated it pants on fire, because if you looked at the whole video, you would see that when President Trump came in, he greeted the boy and gave him special attention. He didn't ignore him at all. But I think that goes to the political polarization. And for the people who have the strongest politically held opinions, they're not willing to give the other side the benefit of the doubt at all.
Yeah, and that is definitely a problem going forward as we head into the midterm election season. Angie, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.